Hi, it's June. Well, hopefully you're pretty good at loops by now. In this lesson, we're going to start moving on to the other most important thing in programming, which is logic. Okay, this little C is how you can more quickly make new classes, should you want to use that. Some of these things you may have encountered in your world so far. Okay, so I'm going to show you about if statements. First, I'll write some pseudocode. I'm going to ask the user if they know Java. If they say yes, tell them they will rule the world. Otherwise, tell them good luck washing excuse me, dishes. I might have to re-record this now. All right. So we know how to ask the user stuff. You use your J option pane. You're all like pow like that and pow like that. Show input dialog. Ask the question. Do you know Java? I've taught these things quite a lot over the years, and what I find is that people always forget that they need to catch the answer in a string right there. Okay, so in here in answer, I should have either yes or no. I'm just going to print that out so you can see. Yes. All right, so now we're moving on to the whole purpose of this exercise, which is first, maybe not your first, if statement. All right, if you can make happen with if control space. But it is kind of important that you understand how this thing works. So we have this if, and then we have a set of parentheses, and then we have a set of curly braces there. The condition is the question that you're going to ask, which in this case is whether answer equals, not you ends with, which would probably work too, equals yes. Okay, I did that a little quickly. I'm going to go over how this stuff works with the dot and the equals and all that a little possibly in the next class. But do you see the way I have used quotes around my yes? That is to make sure that it's a string literal. If I left those off, it'd be all, where's the variable yes? That doesn't make sense to it. So quotes in there, it's going to find out if I have typed yes in that box. And then I'm just going to put this for now. You typed yes. Let's see if it works. Someday today. Okay, that worked well. The positives, you always have to test everything when you're writing code. I didn't get a no. Great. All right, so here's the if statement. The structure is a little bit like a for loop because you've got the parentheses and then you've got the curly braces, and what's in the curly braces is what's going to happen if this is true. It's like the middle part of the for loop. All right, so that works, except that I'm going to make it a little fancier, a little more user-friendly. If I was writing Java, I would get rid of that null. I also did that one already, so I should get rid of that pseudocode. All right, so I've got this one done. Now, how would I do this otherwise? Well, I know what I want this pop-up to look like. It's going to be a message dialog. It's going to have a little null in there. And then we're going to say, good luck washing dishes. Now if I run it, no matter what I say, it will always say good luck washing dishes because this isn't part of the condition. To attach it to that, I need to put an else statement. An else also has its own set of curly braces that I'm going to put around this statement. And I'm going to format. You could do it like this. Source, format, shift, Mac key or Apple key or Windows key F if you're a pro, which you will be by the end of this course. All right, I'm going to run it for you so you can see what happens. Rule the world. No washing dishes. All right, so that part works. I'm just going to remove it and tidy this up a little bit. Okay, so if I'm going a little fast, we have a ton of exercises. Look at all these optional ones that you'll get to practice. And it's a pretty fundamental part of any programming language, so you need to understand this very thoroughly. I'm going to move on to the next thing, which relates to what's actually in here. Okay, I'm going to make another class. This one's for a magic 8-ball. Okay, so this is how a magic 8-ball works. Ask a question. Generate a random number. Give an answer based on that number. So the idea is, well, I'll show you with this part. I think it'll make it a little clearer what I'm trying to do. Tell fortunes. I'm going to make a lot of money with this. Will I ever finish? Will she ever stop talking on this video? Okay, so after that, we're going to generate a random thing. And this is kind of strange, but because we actually don't care about the answer, like we don't care about the user's answer, I'm not going to put a string here. Okay, so I've got to generate a random number, and this is new, so I'm going to show you how to do that. All right, so it's going to be an int. You knew that. Random number. Okay, this is the part that you've not seen. New random. Random is a thing we can use. Put a dot there, and then I can get the next int. Let's see what that gives us. Siso. Gonna print it down here just to see what happens. Gonna get a random number. Wow, that's a pretty large random number. I'm gonna comment this out just for the moment. I'm using my short key for that, which is, on my keyboard, it's Windows ? But it also could be Mac key ? In and out like that. Happy days. This number is a little unwieldy. So what I can do is, you can put a number in here. See, this is telling me there's two options. First option is you don't put anything in the parentheses, and the second option is you put an int in the parentheses. We're going to be starting to do this with these things called methods later today. So let's see, I put 10 in there, and it's probably going to give me a bunch of numbers all the way up to 9. But I don't want that many answers. I just want a yes. Let's see. I'm going to have a 0. Let's see what we get. 2, 3, 2, 3, 1, 0. All right. So I want yes. I want no. And then, well, let's have a maybe. And then let's have something irreverent. Oh, did I spell that wrong? Look at the way Eclipse is helping me out. Do I have a dictionary? Okay, let's see. Irreverent. Oh, word irreverent is not spelled correctly. Well, it's not giving me any options. I'm sure there's a plugin for that if you want it to be perfectly spelling in your code. I'm just going to change it because that little orange thing's driving me crazy. Cheeky, that's a word. Joke answer. All right, be nice now. So I think that's 0, 1, 2, 3. I'm just going to run it a few times and make sure those are the numbers that I'm getting. If I wanted to be very cool, I could do something like this. Just so I don't have to keep running that button. All right, I'm getting 0s, 1s, 2s, and 3s, which was exactly what I wanted. Okay, don't need that for loop. Thank you, for loop. You were useful while you were around. Okay, so this is where the if statement comes in. If, I'm going to type it out today. All right, if set of parentheses, set of curly braces, stuff goes into those curly braces, and here is the thing that we're going to check. So we're going to check if random number equals 0. Okay, I did that on purpose because this might make logical sense to you, but see, it says type mismatch cannot convert from int to boolean. That's because you might have seen stuff like, see, it's like in random number, it's setting 0 to be this variable. We actually want to check if they're the same, and you do that with 2 equalses. Okay, so if the random number was yes, I'm going to do JP show. Can you give it some personality? Certainly. All right. It's going to be kind of hard to test this now because I might have to run it a bunch to get a 0 to come out. Oh, got lucky. Cool. Yeah, I'm going to put my question back in. And, all right. Now, the reason that I'm doing all this is I wanted to show you the difference between what is inside the parentheses of the if statement between this magic 8 ball and this world domination. Right, so here we have magic 8 ball, random int is a number, and I'm checking whether it's equal to an int with 2 equal signs like that. World domination, I'm comparing strings because the user answer is a string. They were typing letters and stuff. And to do that, you have to use this dot equals. When you do the dot equals, the rest of the stuff will pop up here. Because it's kind of hard to type all these things out, but you will get a little bit of practice in the following exercises. The reason you're actually, should I really go into this? All right, so the reason that you're checking a string like this, we haven't talked about it before, but when you use an int, it's got a little I, see? That's because it's a primitive type, and primitive types can be checked like this. You can do other things like less than. You can do less than or equal to. You can do not equal, one of my favorites. That bang there means not. You can do that all when you've got a primitive type like int. You can tell a primitive type by the size of the letter that it starts with. So this is a little I, so that means it's a primitive type. A string has a capital letter it's starting with. That means it's an object. We'll be talking about objects a lot more later. But so for now, you need to know that when you're working on objects and you're checking whether they're equal to each other, you want to do this dot equals. If you don't, you can do this. This might work for this simple case. Let's see. Yeah, so it didn't work. That's pretty obvious. Now, this is a very common bug that you see in new programmers, actually in everybody programmers code, because it's kind of a natural thing to assume that you'd use those equals, but it's not actually comparing the two strings. It's not comparing the YES that might be inside of answer. It's comparing to see if it has the same reference in memory. Okay, I'm going to shut up now because I don't want to confuse you all completely. And I'm back to this one. Have to test it, make sure I didn't break it. All right. Yes, that's cool. And then now that I'm over here in my Magic 8 Ball, I might finish it. Or if you guys want to, you could do that too. I'll just add another one. So if I was checking that, I'm just going to cut and paste this. And you know what? Because I only have 2 here, I'm going to reduce my upper bound to, so I want 0 and 1. So I should put 2 in there. All right, well, the Magic 8 Ball seems to be working. Wow. All right, so it seems like we not only have learned about if statements, but we've actually created a very accurate prediction engine. Anyway, I was maybe going to show you about if-elses, but I think we'll move on and leave that for another time because I don't want to completely overwhelm you. If it was me, I would maybe make my own versions of these, but if you feel confident in what I just did, then you should move on to the Speak and Spell exercise that you'll find in this exercises directory. And hopefully you're able to clone your own GitHub. It will be linked to at the start of the lesson, but you just have to do the same thing, git clone, and this time it's lesson 3. Okay, I have more to say. I know you're probably tired of listening to me at this stage. Okay, so this is a Speak and Spell. A Speak and Spell is it was a very primitive computer. It was a little computer game that I loved when I was a kid, and it would just tell you to spell things and then you type them in. This is a link to the ad for the machine that you can check out if you're feeling nostalgic. Okay, the reason I'm here is I have to show you a few things, and the main one is how to do this. How would you do this? Use the speak method. What on earth is she talking about? Alright, so what I'm talking about is this is the speak method. We'll learn more about methods later. All you need to know for this exercise is to use it, you want to put this in the speak method, or whatever you want. Hopefully it's political. Okay, and I've set this up so that it will, well, obviously it will speak, but we don't really want to be saying these things. What we really want to do is play the game, and the game is played by asking the person to speak something, to spell something. So you do this.
Spell mushroom.
Okay, so they would hear that,
And then the user is going to hear that, and then they're going to type in mushroom, obviously in a little box or whatever, however you choose to do it. And then it will check and tell them whether they were right or not. So I think that's within your capabilities. I'm still not done talking because I want to show you, give you a hint. This is sort of an optional part, but calculate the user score and give it to them at the end of the game. Okay, so calculate the score. Well, probably need a variable. I need a variable. What type should it be? It's going to be an int. I should give it a proper name like score. And I'll probably set it to 0 to start with. Okay, so the easiest way to, well, here's if I wanted to give them a bit more. If I wanted to add 1 to score, I could do this. Let's just print out score to make sure that I'm telling you the right thing. Okay, 1. Let's do this again. Okay, cool. Now, here's the thing. You will very rarely see any actual programmers doing this because they'll always do this. This means add 1 to score. You've seen that in the for loop. So it starts at 0. This will add 1. There you go. Got 1. What about... Okay, -1. Now, there's a fancy word for this. I think it's called arithmetic compounding or something. But you can do lots of other things like in this way. Like you can do, instead of, you wanted score. This doesn't really make sense, but if you wanted score multiplied by 4. Oh, it's 0. Well, of course it's going to be 0. We should have divided that for kicks. Alright, well anyway, I'll come back to that. If score multiplied by 4 gives you 4, but you could also write that like this. Score multiply equal. Now, look how wee that is. It's all small and tidy. Now you can do that with any of the arithmetic operators that I showed you. Like I'm going to try divide. But I'm going to do, see 0 is actually, that would be a smaller value, but because we're using an int, it's rounding, it's chopping off the stuff after the point. Alright, anyway, just for kicks, let's do this. That's a divide by 0. Oh, not divide by 4. We want to do it like this. Divide by 0. Ah, mean old exception red there. It doesn't like being divided by 0. You can't do that. It doesn't make sense. Alright, or it does, but if you did that anyway, you'd probably be breaking something. So all you really want to know is, well, this part I was telling you about this compounding because I saw that it was in the book and I didn't want you to get confused. But you can use it for this one, and you can do that one, you can do this one, and you do a minus, and you can also do this thing called modulo that we'll be learning about in a little while. I think I've told you enough things for now. Okay, so your next exercise is to complete this exercise. Have a good time. See you later.